Hey guys, it's Deborah. So I had a really great video lined up for you guys, and I'm still working on it, but something caught my attention that I had to just talk to you guys about first. And it was actually pointed out to me by Keegan Fernandez. You guys know him as Bro Keegs or Bro Keegan. He pointed something out in the comment section and of a video that I made. And it really was like, wow, this is something I have to tell you guys about. Plus, I have some interesting facts that I learned elsewhere to encourage you guys about the fig tree generation and why I believe we're the last generation. So anyway, let's start with this. This isn't the last video I made. It says 2 days ago. The video is called "This Enoch Prophecy Had to Be Fulfilled and It Just Happened." Now, if you see my thumbnail, I used a picture that says the stage is set. I didn't think super long about it. I just thought it was a good picture and it made sense. So it says the stage is set. Now you can see the video is 19 minutes and 48 seconds. And Keegan said, "Hey Deborah, look, your video is 19 minutes and 48 seconds and it says the stage is set." What stage is set? So something had to be set up, began, and related to the number 1948. So what began or was set up in and has a relation to the number 1948? Well, I'm sure you guys all know, and it relates to the fig tree generation prophecy in Matthew 24. And basically it is with relation, obviously, to the rebirth of Israel as a nation. And what was my video about? This Enoch video that I did, it was literally about the kings, or they call in Enoch, he calls them the shepherds, after 1948. The stage is set. Now, do I think this was a coincidence? Absolutely not. Do I time my videos to be a certain number? Absolutely not. Did I think about this when I found the thumbnail? Absolutely not. I Googled, I don't even know what I Googled to find it, but I just wanted any picture. Sometimes I didn't think about the wording, the stage is set, relating to much more than it just sounded like a cool thing to say. But let's just break that down for a second. So the stage was set in 1948 to begin the last generation, the fig tree generation. My video was literally about the last 12 shepherds that Enoch talks about after 1948. It just, honestly, I just couldn't even put all these things together. But I believe that thumbnail was there to encourage us, okay? So the stage was set. Again, what stage was set? Let's talk about 1948. Let's just talk about 1948 for a minute. And I'm going to give you a lot of encouraging facts to show you that God is working here. Only God could do the things I'm about to show you. And this has nothing to do with man. I mean, no human could think this up. No human could even, comprehend how to put all these pieces together over decades and decades and decades to bring this amazing picture together. So let's just talk for a minute about what stage was set, which was the rebirth of Israel in 1948. And what does that mean for us now? Let's start by talking about Psalm 48. Why are we talking about Psalm 48? Well, the book of Psalms is the 19th book in the Bible. Out of 66 books, it's the 19th book. This is the 48th chapter. What were we just talking about? The stage is set in 1948. So let's see if there's any keys or hidden mysteries in the 19th book and the 48th chapter. So let's read Psalm 48 together. Now, this is just a piece of Psalm 48 you have on your screen, and it's verse 13 to 14. It says that you may tell the next generation, what are we talking about? The fig tree generation, born in 1948, that this is God, our God forever and ever. But let's read the whole of Psalm 48, because the whole psalm really points at the rebirth of a nation. And it just so happens to be the 19th book in the Bible and the 48th chapter. Okay, so let's read it. A song and psalm for the sons of Korah. Great is the Lord and greatly to be praised in the city of our God. We're already talking about his land, his city. in the mountain of his holiness. Beautiful for situation. The joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion. Where is Mount Zion? On the sides of the north, the city of the great king. God is known in her palaces for a refuge. For lo, the kings were assembled. They passed by together. They saw it and they marveled. Everybody wants Israel, don't they? They were troubled and hasted away. Fear took hold upon them there, and pain as a woman in travail. Now, I'm not super familiar with war stories, but I believe there's something to do with General Allenby and how he conquered Israel or something. I think in 1917, there's something to do with the armies fleeing because of General Allenby. I could be wrong, but that seems to go in line with them fleeing away, even though they had their eyes set on the Holy Land. Okay, let's keep reading verse 7. Thou breakest the ships of Tarshish with an east wind. As we have heard, so have we seen in the city of the Lord of hosts. In the city of our God, God will establish it forever, Selah. So I'm almost done, just a few more verses. Verse 9, we have thought of thy loving kindness, O God, in the midst of thy temple. So it's talking about the temple, the land. According to thy name, O God, so is thy praise unto the ends of the earth. Thy right hand is full of righteousness. Let Mount Zion rejoice. Let the daughters of Judah be glad because of thy judgments. Walk about Zion and go around about her. Tell the towers thereof. So it's talking about walking all around the Holy Land. Mark ye well her bulwarks. Consider her palaces. So this is talking all about God's holy land, and to just, mark even the territory around it. Consider her palaces, that ye may tell it to the generation following. For this God is our God forever and ever. He will be our guide even unto death. So not only what I read in Psalm 48 was all about Israel and her boundaries and how enemies wanted her, but the Lord kept her for his own, and how his chosen people would inhabit the land and everything like that. So not only is that chapter all about that, but it's also about telling the next generation. And this whole thing that we're talking about, 1948, matters because of the parable of the fig tree and the last generation. Okay, on to the next cool point. Here you have a verse. Now let me explain why I am bringing up this verse. So basically, the year 1948 was actually the Jewish year 5708. Just like we're in the Jewish year right now, 5781, the Hebrew year, Jewish year, where 1948, when Israel became a nation, was year 5708. So this is really cool. So if you count 5,708 verses from Genesis 1 onward, if you count 5,708 verses into the Bible, starting from Genesis, you get to Deuteronomy 35. So this is 5,708 verses into the Bible. So let's read it together. Deuteronomy 30, verse 5. And the Lord thy God will bring you into the land which your fathers possessed, and you shall possess it. I mean, who can make this stuff up? Is God pointing at 1948 or what? And is that when the stage was set? The stage for what? Well, how about the last generation? Okay, so that's really amazing. So shows very clearly is God uses several calendars. Okay, I would believe he only uses two. And when I say uses, I do understand the Gregorian calendar is, made from like a heathen source, not a biblical source at all, of course. But can he work with these calendars? Because this is the calendar that majority of the world uses. Now, there are other calendars. Where we're at right now is we are under the Gregorian calendar, majority of us. We don't know, most of us in the world don't know much about the Hebrew calendar. We're learning more because of the age of the internet. But anyway, the point is 5780 is clearly being highlighted here, showing that the Lord is respecting the Jewish calendar. But I just talked to you about where the Lord placed in biblical order the 19th book in the 48th chapter, about talking all about the rebirth of a nation and just protection of Israel and everything like that, which shows, in my opinion, he is using both calendars. Now, I'm going to prove to you even more that he uses the Gregorian calendar just because this is the time we're in, not because it is a good calendar, but that he works with us where we are at and wants to give us signs that we can understand. Let me show you how more proof that he is using the Gregorian calendar and 1948, that actual year, really does matter to him. Now, my last point is a short one, but again, it shows you that he is using both calendars. And it is the fact that the book of Psalms, David's Psalms, the book of Psalms, if you count from Genesis forward, it is the 19th book. So it's 19 one way. But if you count from Revelation backwards, it's 48 books backwards. I mean, how could that even be possible? So he's really emphasizing the book of Psalms. Why? Okay, why is he emphasizing the book of Psalms? Well, I read you Psalm 48, so that was pretty cool. But also, there is a lot of possibility that there is the prophecy in the Psalms, which was a book originally written by J.R. Church. Maybe other people and forefathers have discovered this, but the prophecy in the Psalms kind of outlines that starting from the year 1900, going from the first Psalm, 1901, second Psalm onward, they basically match up events in history going from that year to that Psalm, starting from the 1900s. I won't get into all of that, but this was a book written, I believe, by J.R. Church, and it's called Prophecy in the Psalms, and there's been a lot of truth in that. And when you get to different Psalms, it lines up with different events, just like I read Psalm 48, which would be 1948. And Psalm 121 would line up with 2021. And if you read that, it really matches up with a lot that's going on now and that's going to happen. And if you read Psalm 120, it matches up with what happened in 2020. So you have to ask yourself, what generation will not pass away? Is it the generation that just sees the tribulation begin? Or has he repeatedly brought our attention to 1948? So is he saying the generation that shall not pass is just the one that sees the tribulation begin? Or does it have something to do with 1948? The parable of the fig tree, Israel being the fig tree. I know most of you guys know this, but some of you may not. Now, was this just a fluke that I made this video on the Enoch prophecy, which is about all the shepherds, the 12 shepherds after 1948? I make this video. The video is actually 19 minutes and 48 seconds, called The Stage is Set. What stage? Well, the stage of the last generation, basically, which was set in 1948. So was this all a fluke? Was this all a coincidence? Was it a fluke and a coincidence that the 19th book and the 48th chapter refer to Israel becoming a nation? Is it a fluke that the 5,708th verse in the Bible is talking about possessing the land? Is it a fluke that Psalms is 19 books in and forward and 48 books back, 1948? Was all of that a fluke, or does God use numbers? Does God use mysteries and hints and clues? Does he do this or no? And, you have to ask yourself, when things happen where I make a thumbnail and it's literally all about Israel re-becoming a nation and the shepherds after 1948, and I'm talking about the stage being set, and it's 19 minutes and 48 seconds, like, you have to say, no, that's not a coincidence. And I think it's an encouragement. I think it's an encouragement to say, you're on the right path. Yes, we don't have the exact moment. We don't know the exact moment maybe at this point, but he's saying you're doing okay. And if he uses these clues and hints, and this is how he talks, then isn't it okay that we look at something like a thumbnail and say the stage is set in 1948? What stage? The last generation? It isn't okay that we think that. I think it is, because all the other things I just revealed were all pretty secret. We're all hard to kind of find. We're not things that you have to kind of dig to realize this. I mean, 1948 was year 5, Jewish year 5708. How could the 5708th verse literally be hinting at 1948, the rebirth of a nation? I mean, these are things the human mind could not fathom. So all that being said is one little thumbnail sure brought a lot of encouragement, excitement, and interest. And also I'm happy to give you these little facts and clues that you may not have known. But a lot of us are looking at this fig tree generation parable thinking, you know, is the last generation just the generation that sees the tribulation begin? Or is God hinting and pointing at 1948, year 5708, and saying the stage is set? The rebirth of Israel is that stage that was set. That is the generation that shall not pass away. So more confirmation, and I hope you found those little things interesting, the different confirmations also about 1948 and the Bible and all these little hidden things about that. So I hope it blessed you guys, and I will talk to you again soon. Until next time, God bless and shalom.